Don't call your boat unsinkable. Don't call your machine gun, peace producing. And finally, don't call your theatre absolutely fireproof. The owners declared, and I've got one here in a playbill, the theatre was absolutely fireproof.
Oh.
So here is the playbill for the play, Mr. Bluebeard.
Now look, I don't want to interrupt or get ahead of things. I got an inkling.
I don't want to spoil for you.
It wasn't.
Have you ever been sitting in a movie theatre and, waiting for the movie to start or whatever, and you look around and there's that little glowing green light that says exit?
Yeah. Not only have I looked around, as I walk into a room, I obviously look for all exits and entrances, and then when I sit down, I look for my closest one.
But have you ever wondered about the origin story of that glowing green exit light?
I absolutely have not. I thought you were going to say, have you worried about the origin story of exiting?
So I don't really believe in the Greek gods. They're among my favourites.
You don't really,
gods.
or you just don't?
No, I'm on the fence.
Come on, you've seen a Zeus played by Rusty Crowe.
I'm on the fence.
Good day, I'm Zeus.
But there are some rules that even atheists should follow, because if you don't, it's just going to piss them off.
Don't eat fire.
Not that one. No, it's the hubris. The hubris. Greek gods don't like it. I don't think the other gods like it as well. I don't think any gods love a bit of hubris.
You know what happens? If you get called hubris, like Hubris Grant, you end up having sex with a prostitute and busted and everyone hates you for 2 minutes. It's because his name's Hubris.
I don't think that happens.
That's how it works.
I don't think that. But don't call your boat unsinkable. Don't call your machine gun, peace producing. And finally, don't call your theatre absolutely fireproof. Welcome to The Wholesome Show. And this here, you have a choice.
I like fisting better. So the podcast that shakes its fist at the whole Greek pantheon.
There you go. You're shaking your fist. So I gave Rod the choice.
Stick it up your bum bums.
He could have been shaking his fist at the Greek pantheon.
I could have been cowering
before them. I didn't think you wanted to cower.
I cower before no God.
The Wholesome Show is me, Will Grant.
And me fisting Rod Lamberts in the sense of shaking it.
Shaking your fist.
Shaking
What
it.
what is your hubris before the Greek gods?
My hubris?
Yeah, what do you...
I don't think you're that good. I look them in the eye
You're
or
shit
eyes or whatever
gods.
they have. Like, yeah, you're shit gods. One of them probably is a god of poo.
Now, just a quick warning on this one. As you can probably guess,
Some blasphemy.
no,
Oh.
not blasphemy. This story involves fairly horrific scenes. If that's not your thing,
Now we start warning people.
no.
This is the first. Oh, by the way.
But it does make me wonder, why does it take something being super, super, super bad before we take action? Why don't we take action when it's just a bit bad?
Because
and
what?
go,
Because, how many people are complaining and or dying? Not enough.
the builders of the Iroquois Theater on 24 to 28 West Randolph Street, Chicago,
Iroquois.
chose the location specifically to attract women. They thought...
So they put it near bunnies and food.
No, they put it near a shopping district that was patrolled by police officers. So the theory was at the time that...
Safe shopping.
yeah, there was safe shopping and unsafe shopping.
What year are we? How long ago?
1903.
03.
So 120 years ago. So yeah, there were districts that women wouldn't go shopping in. Let's put the theatre there because we want to aim to women and children in our theatre business.
Makes sense.
There were some delays building it. There were some labour disputes. There was some the architect couldn't get his plans drawn on time. But eventually, when the Iroquois Theater opened on November 23rd, 1903, it was declared a triumph. Chicago was booming at the time, and they wanted to have, fancy ass architecture that was the envy of the rest of the country. And I don't know if it was the best theater, but it was certainly a pretty one.
And we're banging up against Art Deco nearly.
Yeah. So
love Art Deco.
like
Love
it's what did I find? Mahogany and glass doors, marble and gold pillars, ornamental fixtures.
I'm going to start licking things.
It had a grand central staircase, and people were saying most beautiful in Chicago, and perhaps the rival of any in the rest of America. One guy, competent judges state that few theatres in America can rival its architectural perfections.
Competent judges state.
Competent
It's
judges.
trumping. Many people are telling me.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Look,
say.
that's true. That's
Okay.
true. But the story was it was looking.
I'm going to
pretty
use
nice.
that though. I know competent judges tell me.
So yeah, grand central staircase, and it had seating capacity. I think this was normal size big theatre. Like
Yep.
it's a full size big theatre, 1,600 people. There was like 700 seats in the foyer level, 400 seats in the balcony level, 500 seats in the gallery, and then they'd cram in people in what we call the standing tickets. So there's they weren't seats. They could have like 500 people crammed in for.
So 1903 mosh pit for a play.
Yeah,
But not at the front.
Not at the front. No, they're behind the seats. You got to be behind.
Of course. Otherwise you'd block the paying punters. Yeah. Okay.
And I said before there was that grand staircase, grand central staircase. Part of this was because the architects thought we want everyone to see who was there, see and be seen, regardless of the price you paid. So everyone goes through the same central staircase, so you can see. Oh, there's Jerry and there's Liz and
I know
there's
how it works. It's so the people in the fancy seats can go.
probably.
Look at you standers.
Well, anyway, given how worried everyone was at the time about theatre fires. They had absolutely happened before. There was one, I think, in 1873, 30 years before in New York. There was probably a lot of other smaller ones. Everyone was worried. And so the architects were like, all right, well, I'm going to study all the previous theatre disasters and find out what will prevent fire.
Are you going to talk me through all the previous theatre disasters?
No, I'm not.
I'm ready.
I'm not.
I'm ready.
I'm focusing on this one.
Okay.
And the two solutions they came up with.
Yeah.
One was an asbestos curtain. So this was a drop curtain that would go at the front of the stage if there was a fire on stage. So if the set catches fire,
You don't kill the actors.
yeah, you only kill the actors.
You trap the actors.
You drop a big asbestos curtain in between the actors and the audience.
And this is a time where they're still using lamp lights that are flames? Or
Basically, they're not flat. Like this is early electricity.
which is the safest electricity.
Oh my God. Yeah. Basically, it's naked tungsten with a lot of current going through it.
How hot does it get? I don't know. How hot you got?
Oh, it's freaking little pools of lava on the stage all
Surface
over
of
the place.
sun. Yeah. Okay.
You can imagine, these actors are cooking under these lights, and so this was
Asbestos curtain.
super innovation at the time.
Sure.
An asbestos curtain. Apparently, these were really beautiful. I think this was one of the first ones.
Beautiful.
The idea of curtains between the actors and the audience had happened before. I think the earliest might have been in 1790 in
For fire
England.
or just
For fire.
right.
Like to make it safe, a drop down curtain. Originally, they were made of like steel or iron, like
it's not
chains.
a curtain. That's a door, or like a
Do
wall.
you know that's where the word iron curtain came from? Like, Churchill is like the iron curtain has,
descended across Europe.
it's an iron curtain between the actors and the audience to try and stop a fire, keep the actors on fire and keep the audience
Not to keep communism in.
that late.
Although actors tend to be communist is a fair call. So, okay. So the idea's been around for a while, but basically it's a metal, like guillotine.
Yes.
I don't want you to burn to
Some
death,
sort of
so we're going to
guillotine,
chop you in half.
Yeah, and now
Okay.
now they'd made one made out of asbestos, and apparently they were beautiful. Like they'd paint them with scenery or something like
they
that,
would.
and apparently they could look really shimmery and nice. Like it was a really elaborate thing.
Okay.
They also had some fire extinguishers that I'll come to in a bit.
That's the name of a person, isn't it? This is never, we're going to roll them around on it.
So with this asbestos curtain and fire extinguisher combo, they went full Greek tragedy. The owners declared, and I've got one here in a playbill, that the theatre was absolutely fireproof.
Oh.
So here is the playbill for the play, Mr. Bluebeard.
Now, look,
And-
I don't want to interrupt or get ahead of things. I got an inkling.
I don't want to spoil for you.
It wasn't.
You're really asking for the gods to come.
Yeah, got any investment advice? Yeah, I got a sure thing for you. Oh, fuck it.
So
Yeah.
the gods came.
Yep.
But not straight away with the wrath of Zeus. They sent a lowly messenger first. Fireproof magazine. So
I love that one.
I
Do you know that's the world's longest running magazine about fireproofing?
am wild that there is a magazine called Fireproof Magazine.
Did you look for it?
If you went down to the shops, I looked but I couldn't find any at the moment.
I'm
going to come back later.
I'll take a Hustler, a Big Jugs, a Butt Stuff, Fireproof Magazine, something to do with donkeys. That was the old way. I'm told people would buy their pornography.
I'm sure it is.
It was always between like the Woman's Weekly for my mother and the Racing Guide for my father. Yeah. Penthouse magazine with all the stories. That's how you buy Fireproof.
So, yeah, the editor from Fireproof magazine went on down. He must have been, you're calling your place Fireproof without my warrant. So
I also go out and say the editor may have also been all the journalists, the illustrator, the typesetter, the delivery guy.
Yes. I think he gave himself, like all of the people that go, yeah, I'm CEO, but you're just one person.
And by magazine, do you mean a pamphlet he'd run off in his basement? As he ran around being indignant.
Maybe it was huge. And he's like, no way is this fireproof. Like, it's not even up to current code of the time, let alone what we would consider safe. He noted the absence of an intake or stage draft shaft, so something that would
hole?
Yeah, a hole. Exposed reinforcement, so wood of one of the arches. That says wood all over the place.
As in it does have it and that's bad, or it doesn't have enough of it?
Bad.
Okay.
Yeah. Wood trim on everything and the inadequate provision of exits.
Mahogany, though.
That's true.
Mahogany doesn't burn.
Chicago Fire Department captain also went down.
Yeah.
I assume big reader of Fireproof magazine wants to check it out for himself.
No, long-time reader, first-time contributor. He went down there and said, no, now I want to go on the record.
And it's weird, the fire department captain found different things to Fireproof magazine. I would have thought they would, but yeah, these are all bad.
Wouldn't you talk to each other first?
No sprinklers, no alarms, no telephones, no water connections, one common stayaway. Again.
No water.
Yeah.
Come on.
But they did have, and this was what the theatre owners thought. No, we got it in hand. Is the on-site firefighting equipment was 6 kill fire extinguishers. Now I love when I was reading about these, I was just like, it's like a postal tube. When you're sending like a map through it's like 2 inches wide by 24 inches long. So in our money, it's like 5 centimeters by 60 centimeters, something like that. A tube, and it's full of baking soda. And what you would do is you'd pop the top off the tube and you'd forcibly hurl the baking soda onto the fire.
Perfect.
And that's
now I feel safe.
That's it.
I don't need water exit sprinklers to not be surrounded by wood, air shaft, doors. Because I have 6 tubes of baking soda.
With remember, lights that are basically lava from the sun,
bits of the sun
sitting there on the stage.
We have 6 tubes of baking soda. And what was it? 1,700 people? 1,600.
No, it was 1,600 in the seats plus 500 in the standing area, which, when you think about it, the standing area is not an area.
No.
So, yeah, I'll
Jesus Christ. But no connected water. Come on. That's flipping people off. So, I know we're fireproof. Got any connected water? No. Fuck you with Fireproof.
Not fireproof. No. Not fireproof.
No. Not even fireproof adjacent. Not even thinking about fire. Also, no.
It's just the lying. It's
straight up.
The lie. Yeah. And just on these fire extinguishers. So each one of them was like 3 pounds worth of baking soda, or 1.5 kilos. So it's like a packet of flour, basically. And there's 6 of them, 6 of them for the whole theatre, and that's it. And
so your trick is get in early.
Yes.
Look, I suppose if you're just going to be totally ridiculous, you might as well claim Fireproof as well. What have you got for fireproofing? Nothing. So what ain't Fireproof?
Asbestos curtain, man.
So they did have that.
They did have that. The theatre was beautiful.
Of course.
But despite its beauty, the first few weeks weren't exactly cracker. It might have been there was labor unrest in Chicago at the time. Maybe it was a super chilly winter, whatever it was. But between November 23 and when it opened and just after Christmas, it had attendances, it had matinees, but nothing really took off.
Okay.
But Wednesday, December 30th, things were looking up. They had finally got a sellout. They'd sold every seat and whatever you call a standing room ticket for the afternoon matinee of the popular musical Mr. Bluebeard. So I'm
going to assume you're telling me this. The fact that this is the packed night, just a coincidence, has nothing to do with when the fire broke out. So carry on.
No. After everyone has left.
Yeah, exactly. I feel great. I have no concerns.
So there was something like 2,100 to 2,200 people in there.
Oh, God.
And as I said, standing room, so crowded that some people are sitting in the aisles. And of course, because it was a matinee, which improves everything.
Children.
Yeah. Yes.
Yay!
Yeah, one of the lead actors who later turned out to be, it's hard to tell. Some people describe him as a hero. I think he was good, but some of the things he did have been described as weird.
Really, a lead actor being weird?
No, it's hard to tell. He wrote that it struck, much later he wrote his memoirs, it struck him when he looked out over the crowd during the first act that he'd never before seen so many women and children in the audience. Even the gallery was full of mothers and children.
Great.
So the first act
It's good to know they're getting out.
goes lovely,
Of course it does.
I think.
Then everyone went home.
As the show began its second act at 3:15, a spark from a stage light ignited nearby drapery
From a show that's
high above the stage. And there's some articles of the time. They put out a little picture showing where it was. So there's the actors on the stage looking super comfortable. I don't know how they got them to do this because
Stand still.
they must have got a photo of them on stage, and that X is where it happened. Stagehands ran on, of course. They've got the kill fire. They got the tubes of kill fire.
Quick, get the
ready
flour.
to go. But apparently it was too high. So the baking soda.
You, get on my shoulders. Get on my shoulders. Well, no, if you get a handful of flour and throw it really hard, it goes way further.
Yes.
Or what you do is you moisten it a bit to get it into a lump, and then you can throw it a lot further.
That would be it. Quick, but there's no water in the building. No water in the building.
water in
We've
the
only got the dry flour.
No.
See how far you can throw the dry. Yeah, as you can guess, the baking soda fell uselessly to the ground, not putting out the fire. The fire climbed up the curtain and began to catch the hundreds of pounds of scenery that hung up in the rafters.
Which is, of course, all made out of fire retardant material, no problem. Ish. Paper?
I don't know, literally petrol. I assume all the scenery is made like it's probably petrol and arsenic or something like that in these days. It's
Yeah, like one of those logs are all around playgrounds, Copper's logs, and they say they're great and they never decay. Never burn one ever.
No, exactly. Don't burn kids' playgrounds either.
It's Friday night. What am I going to do now?
Kids' playgrounds.
So
I just
bored.
don't like children having fun.
Burn the fucking thing. At night, I'm not a monster.
Not everyone knew what was going on at first,
No.
and the performers kept going. Maybe the audience thought it was a special effect. Maybe the performers didn't actually realize at first.
Really?
I don't know. You get into your
That photo had about, I'm going to say, 20 people on the stage?
You get into your razzmatazz and
You do.
and
Yeah.
you don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe thought it was one of the special effects. Many of the people in the audience sat mesmerized, particularly children who were sitting down the front.
Cool.
Here's the lead actor, Eddie Foy, one of the lead actors, attempted to calm the increasingly agitated audience. He ordered the orchestra to continue playing as stagehands made futile attempts to lower the asbestos fire curtain.
Like the Titanic.
Yeah. But others have said he actually, what he was doing is actually trying to stop a panic. Like I think the orchestra's still playing, I'm not sure. But later on, he does seem to have been in the middle trying to stop a panic because...
Well, panics are good because you move faster. I got to be honest, I don't understand. And also, you know what I understand the least when people are freaked out? Yelling.
I don't
understand yelling.
I think we can say that from the comfort of not being there. But my God,
I understand freaking out. Like,
think
understand
about
you
these people
freaking
in
out.
these next moments and what's going to
No,
happen.
freaking out, I get you pushing over old people and children to keep yourself alive. But to be screaming the whole time, I don't understand. Oh my God, there's a fire. And then you do something as opposed to, oh my God, there's a fire. Like, what's it buying you after that? Like, I don't understand. I really kind of go, why do you keep yelling?
Oh my God.
Why do you keep yelling? What are you getting out of it?
Oh,
Do the rest. Don't keep yelling.
Jesus Christ, you're such a dad sometimes.
I know.
Why is everyone yelling? Just be quiet.
Everyone get on with it. Panic in silence, you idiots.
They tried to lower the asbestos curtain, the magic state-of-the-art asbestos curtain.
The mechanism not as magic.
It got stuck halfway.
Was it from heat?
It just got, I don't know. It just got snagged. And
They, of course, tested that under all conditions.
well, it's really interesting actually because I did a bunch of research on these curtains, fireproof curtains and asbestos curtains, whatever they were. They actually do test them regularly, and
now,
and well, I'm not sure about now, but they were used throughout the 20th century, and a lot of places around the world would do them up and down before every show to
that makes sense.
demonstrate. Hey, we've got this fire curtain. You're
don't worry, only actors will die.
Anyway, curtain snagged, and soon after that, the lighting goes out.
Cool.
And
Except
it became
they got the fire though to see by, so that's cool.
Became very apparent very quickly that the fire was not going to get contained. Audience members bolted from their seats to what few exit doors they could find. But, thanks fucking architect. Most of them were obscured.
What?
Deliberately by the architect because he didn't like the look of them. They ruined the look of the room. Most of them were hidden behind curtains.
Mm-hmm.
Worse, when they could find them, they encountered a weird locking mechanism.
Of course you would.
Like it's the sort of locking mechanism that you see on the back of a semi-trailer. Like it's got a sort of latch up, flip, bang, flip, whoop. Yeah, that one that not many people knew how to use.
So that's to stop people from sneaking in?
Yeah, they were really worried about people sneaking in through those doors, but they made it really hard for people to get out. Worse, the doors opened inward.
Of course they did. Because that makes sense.
It's zero thinking. It is zero thinking. Worse. There was also some fake painted on doors. So,
blam!
Just
half the people died of head injuries.
Just remember this place is being billed as absolutely fireproof.
Fake doors.
Yeah.
This will be funny.
Oh my God. There was also a series of like metal accordion gates on the stairs, like to stop the people in the top balcony seats, the gallery, sneaking down to the more expensive seats down low. So they were sort of literally.
And you lock them when the performance starts, obviously.
So the terrified patrons were funneling through basically the big set of stairs, and everyone is panicked to get out.
It's an oven. So it's a lock you in, you're going to die oven.
Oh my God.
Fireproof.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So watching from the stage, Foy, that lead actor, he said the upper levels resembled a mad animal-like stampede. Their screams, groans and snarls, the scuffle of thousands of feet and bodies grinding against bodies merging into a crescendo half wail, half roar.
Half whale?
Yeah. Don't do that. That's bad.
Sounds calming, though.
I know it's 120 years ago, but
too soon.
This is horrible. This is horrible. So the cast members realize everyone's in danger. So they're like, okay, there's a backstage door that we can get out there. But for those of you fans of late 80s, not early 90s movies,
yes,
they opened the door and a blast of cold air came through, sending a backdraft,
boom,
basically explode through the middle of the theatre.
Cool.
Ball of flame pushed through the whole theatre. The vents above the stage that were meant to vent any excess heat, like a chimney sort of thing.
Sucked air in?
No, they've been nailed shut.
Cool.
Because why not?
Well, it's drafty.
And it went under the asbestos curtain that was stuck halfway up, streaking towards the vents behind the dress circle and gallery 15 metres away.
Nailed shut.
Yeah, they were nailed shut. Yeah. So many of the bits here, like they don't take rocket science to work out. Like it's just how callous do you have to be?
No, you're back to hubris. No, this place will not burn.
Because we've got an asbestos curtain and six bottles of bicarb?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Like, that's not enough for me.
So stop mucking around. Stop worrying about it, you idiot.
Seriously, and we've got painted on exit doors?
Yeah. But in times of emergency, they come to life. Wow.
So the hot exploding gases flew through over the heads of those in the orchestra seats and incinerated everything flammable in the gallery and the dress circles, including patrons still chapped in those areas.
So it would have been quick, in theory?
It probably was. The whole thing was probably 15 minutes.
No, that's not quick when you're burning to death. I meant for those people who briefly incinerated.
Yeah.
I think burning to death for 15 minutes might as well be a million years.
But the backdraft was actually slightly positive in the sense that it blew at least one of the real exit doors open.
Yay!
So finally there's a way out.
Cool.
Two more people opened doors. There was a bar owner who had he was a former baseball player with the Chicago Colts.
He had his waiter's friend on and he jimmied it open.
I think so, actually. Well, there is a tour guide coming up. He defied an usher and he was able to open the door because his icebox at home had the same lock on it.
So okay.
Which is a very elaborate lock for your fridge. And another baseball player from the Boston Bean Eaters, he...
We're the Bean Eaters. Why?
He forced his way out. So I think there were 3 doors open. So a bunch of people did manage to get out the doors. Okay. Meanwhile, a few upstairs managed to find an upper level fire escape, only to realise it didn't have a ladder.
No, I was going to say, so jump to your death.
Yeah. People in the building across, remember this is like 3:15 in the afternoon, they're like, oh, quick, get some planks and make a little bridgey thing.
What could go wrong?
Well, the first 2 people. After that, a bunch of people managed to escape, but yes, a few fell to their deaths on the little bridgey thing they made. A bunch of performers escaped through the coal hatch, through windows in dressing rooms, and a bunch were at another stage door out the back. And they saw, it was another one of these open inwards doors, and they were jammed up against it. And a passing railroad agent saw the crowd pressing against the doors and unfastened the hinges from the outside using tools he normally carried with him, allowing the actors and stagehands to escape.
Railroad agent tools.
He's got I don't know. It's like the waiter's friend or something like
What's
that.
a railroad agent? This railroad's loose. I'll get out my railroad tightener and fix
Exactly. So it can do railroad tightening or hinge loosening. So
Well done.
it might just be a crowbar. He's a guy carrying a crowbar or something like that. Within moments, hundreds of bodies began piling up inside the theatre. Victims were asphyxiated by fire, smoke, gases, or were crushed to death by the onrush of terrified patrons behind them.
Cool.
575 people were killed on the day of the fire. At least 30 more died.
I'm going to say I'm amazed it's that low. Honestly, I'm amazed.
Out of 2,100, yeah.
I'm amazed. So I would have thought you were going to say 1,000 or more. Like at least
so
half.
a lot died, absolutely, but yeah, a lot did get out. So we're talking maybe 2/3 of the audience got out, and
horrible, but better than I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing: the Great Fire of Chicago, which is a pretty famous big fire,
I've heard of that.
only killed 300 people. So
So not that great.
This
This is the Greater Fire of Chicago.
Nothing is great.
Greatest?
Nothing is great. There is.
We didn't call it the Great Fire of Chicago. That's on history.
That's true.
So this is the even greater fire of Chicago, as measured by deaths. If you assume deaths are great, which we do not.
One story I read said that the bodies were piling up 10 feet in some places.
Sure, like 9 bodies deep. Who knows? Gross, horrible, bad. I mean, do we really need to know that?
Most of this all happened before the firefighters could even get on the scene.
Of course they
It
do.
all happened in about 15 minutes, and it seemed because there was no telephone, to alert the fire brigade, a stagehand had to run to the nearest fire station, and then they had to come over with their.
Chicago are good for having lots of fire stations, I thought, though, at least.
You would have thought.
I feel like they did.
So loss of life, it's
horrible.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. It was different. There had been theatre disasters before. This was particularly middle class, particularly women and children.
I forgot that part.
The families of Chicago's elect, the wives and children of its most prosperous businessmen and the flower of local society. The deaths, look, horrible as it was, did galvanize the city.
Sure.
And it would have been good if people had been galvanized before and maybe done something.
Pre-galvaned? They did. They built an entirely fireproof theatre.
Days later, the Chicago Tribune ran a list of regulations that had been flouted by the theatre. So this is the existing regulation.
Into issue number 2.
Lack of adequate fire alarm, automatic sprinklers, marked exits, suitable fire extinguishing devices, and also not having
water.
Yes, they didn't like the kill fire extinguishers.
Why not?
And they didn't like the flues at the top of the roof being bolted down.
Really? Picky.
So the newspaper called for action. The only atonement that can be made to these helpless victims of negligence is to make the theatres of Chicago absolutely safe so that none others may meet their fate.
Absolutely safe.
Now, it was really hard to say who was at fault here. Everyone pointed the finger at everyone else. Like the owners.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the owners bear some responsibility.
Yeah, but they wrote a statement to the newspaper blaming the audience for panicking.
Look, I'll make a joke out of almost anything, but you fucks, like you've got to be kidding me. It's the Bernese fault.
Despite being admonished to be calm and avoid any rush.
I told them to calm down and they didn't.
Yeah.
Those children being trampled to death, running from flames, being unable to breathe.
You have to be wild to blame the victims.
Well, no, to be fair, I think there are layers of victim blaming in the world.
Yeah,
this one's all of them.
Yeah. So, and other people said, well, surely it's the city, that their regulations aren't good enough, or it's the fact that their regulations weren't enforced. Could it have been corruption? Could it have been the builders didn't do things?
Incompetence, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, fair enough.
After a bunch of investigations, heaps of testimony, 3 years of legal wrangling, no one was ever held criminally liable.
Oh.
The only thing, so Will Davis was one of the owners. He was tried, but not convicted. The only like actual recompense was a few payouts to some families from the construction company.
From the
That's
construction company.
Yeah.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
I don't know.
You must feel terrible. Here's
I don't know.
$10.
I don't know. But it did finally force people to take action and say, hey, maybe the spaces we go into, the buildings and things like that, should actually be made unburned downable, or at least something closer.
Why not?
There was that thing about, was it the existing codes weren't enough or weren't they enforced? But people said, well, let's do both. Let's enforce and make them better.
Cool.
So within days, they shut down all the theatres in the city for the next 6 weeks to get them up to code.
Wow.
A bunch in the rest of the country followed suit, and a bunch in Europe as well. There's people all around, like there's people in different countries going, all right, let's just not do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so they came out, Chicago City Council came out with new ordinance that compelled structural changes, including new standards for aisles and exits, so that more than one person could go down an aisle at a time.
Fucking hippies. Hand-wringing pearl clutches.
Use of fireproofing on the scenery, so the scenery is not made of like flammable stuff.
Only asbestos scenery.
Possibly.
Well, you solve one problem.
Yeah. Right.
Wait a while.
Connected fire alarms, limits on occupancy, the elimination of standing tickets, which I think is a friggin' no-brainer. Like the idea of let's just pack in the space with people that
I've got an idea. Don't jam them in so it's dangerous anyway. If someone sneezes too loud, you can kill 9 people.
Oh my God.
Cool.
Putting in sprinkler requirements, rules on rooftop flues. Basically, they're not allowed to be nailed shut.
Yeah, if you have them, open them.
And enduring changes that there has to be lighting over the exits. They can't be hidden behind curtains, and you have to put a red light to kept burning over exits that is on a separate power supply from the rest of the lighting. Okay. They also came out with locks on doors that you can't get in from the outside. So doors open outwards, not inwards. And there's crash bars that when you come up to one of those.
Your classic gym school
That's
room.
That's it. You just push on it and out you go. So as quickly as you want.
Oh, there you go. It's worth it.
The Iroquois Theater was rebuilt, renamed the Hyde and Beeman's Music Hall in 1904.
Fireproof music hall?
And then changed to the Colonial Theater. The building was demolished in 1925.
Because it burnt down again?
No, I don't think so. And then and another theatre was built there and a theatre again. So it's currently called the Netherland.
The Netherland?
Completely real beat. And while the asbestos curtain didn't save the day, regulations in a number of different places made them mandatory in theatres for a long time, particularly between the 1950s and the 1980s. And there are still a bunch of asbestos curtains in theatres around the world, which are probably good in some ways, but
as long as you don't scratch them and get the fibres off. My question, it's been racking, it's like in my brain the whole episode. What is asbestos curtain a euphemism for? Because I'm sure it's something. Let us know. The listener, I know there's some of you out there, you have grotty, dirty minds.
You look it up on Urban Dictionary or get something into Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, the asbestos curtain, it's insert horrible here.
We'll see you next week, listener.
Ciao.